Do you know, in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, after the doom of Valyria, the greatest empire ever known did not fall slowly but vanished in a single apocalyptic moment. Entire cities were consumed by fire, the ground itself split open, and the sky turned into a storm of ash and flame. Dragons screamed as even they could not escape the destruction, and in that chaos the proud civilization of Valyria was erased almost completely. Yet one family survived, House Targaryen, not because they were stronger than the others but because they had already left Valyria years before and settled on Dragonstone, guided by a prophetic dream that warned them of the coming doom. But survival did not mean power. On Dragonstone they were isolated, far from the lands they once ruled. Their armies were gone, their influence reduced to almost nothing. They were no longer kings of an empire but exiles holding onto memories of greatness. Over time their dragons began to die, one after another, each death weakening their legacy. The skies that once belonged to them became empty, and with every passing generation the glory of Valyria faded further into myth, until only one dragon remained, Balerion, the Black Dread, enormous, ancient, and terrifying, his wings casting shadows like storms, his fire hot enough to melt stone. He was more than a creature, he was the last living memory of Valyria's might, a reminder that even in decline, the blood of the dragon still carried the power to reshape the world. Across the sea, the continent of Westeros stood divided and unstable. It was not one kingdom but 7 separate realms, each ruled by a king who believed himself destined for greatness. The north, ruled by House Stark, was vast and cold, strong but distant from southern politics. The Westerlands under House Lannister were rich with gold and ambition. The Reach under House Gardener was fertile and powerful with massive armies. The Stormlands under House Durrandon were hardened by constant war and harsh weather. The Vale under House Arryn was protected by mountains and nearly impossible to invade. The Iron Islands under House Hoare thrived on raiding and fear, and Dorne remained independent, unyielding, and unconquered. These kingdoms were locked in constant rivalry. Alliances formed and broke like waves. Betrayal was common, and no king trusted another. Each believed he could one day rule all of Westeros, yet none had the strength to achieve it. Wars drained their resources, pride blinded their judgment, and while they fought endlessly among themselves, they failed to see the larger threat growing quietly beyond the sea, a threat unlike anything they had ever faced before. On Dragonstone, away from the chaos of Westeros, a new generation of Targaryens was rising. Aegon Targaryen was born into a world where his family had already lost its empire, yet he carried within him the ambition to rebuild something even greater. Alongside him were his sisters Visenya Targaryen and Rhaenys Targaryen, bound by blood and Valyrian tradition. Where such unions were meant to preserve the purity of their Dragonlord lineage, but what truly made them powerful was not just their heritage but their dragons. Visenya rode Vaga, a massive and battle-hardened dragon known for her ferocity. Rhaenys rode Meraxes, swift and elegant yet equally deadly, and Aegon himself commanded Balerion, the largest dragon alive, whose flames could melt castles and armies alike. Together they were not just a family but a force of unmatched power. 3 dragon riders, 3 dragons, the last remnants of Valyria's true strength. In a world that had never faced such power before, they were more than rulers. They were living weapons capable of rewriting history. But Aegon's strength was not only in dragons, it was in his vision. He looked at Westeros and saw something no one else could. Not 7 kingdoms divided by pride and war, but one realm waiting to be united. On Dragonstone he ordered the creation of the Painted Table, a massive carved map of Westeros, shaped exactly like the continent itself. Every river, mountain, forest, road, and castle carefully marked. It was not created for beauty but for strategy. This table became the center of his planning, where every decision was made, every possibility considered. Aegon studied it endlessly, tracing paths of invasion, identifying weak points, understanding geography in a way no king of Westeros ever had. While others relied on tradition and instinct, Aegon relied on knowledge and preparation. He understood that conquest was not just about strength but about precision. Every detail on that table represented an opportunity, and every opportunity brought him closer to his goal of a united kingdom. And yet Aegon did not act immediately. For nearly 10 years he waited, watching the events of Westeros unfold from a distance. He studied the behavior of kings, their alliances, their rivalries, their strengths and weaknesses. He learned who was ambitious, who was reckless, who could be reasoned with and who would resist until the end. He observed how wars were fought, how armies moved, how quickly alliances collapsed. He understood that timing would be everything. A premature invasion could unite the kingdoms against him, but a well-timed strike could break them one by one. While the kings of Westeros remained focused on their own conflicts, Aegon remained patient, turning observation into strategy, knowledge into power. He was not just preparing for war, he He was shaping the outcome before the first battle even began, because he knew that true victory is decided long before swords are drawn. And now the waiting was over. Aegon, his sisters, and their dragon stood ready to change the world. They were no longer just survivors of a fallen empire, they were the beginning of a new one. The last dragon lords of Valyria were about to unleash fire and blood upon Westeros, and nothing would ever be the same again. Kingdoms that had stood for thousands of years would fall, kings who believed themselves untouchable would kneel or burn, and a new order would rise from the ashes of the old. In the next part, you will witness how Aegon begins his conquest, how dragons reshape the battlefield, how alliances crumble under fire, and how the Iron Throne is forged through war and destruction. This is where the story truly begins, and it only gets more intense from here, so make sure to subscribe the channel for upcoming parts. And like this video, comment your favorite character of A Song of Ice and Fire and share with your friends.